Hello, everyone. My name is Boris Johnson, and today I want to share my journey of learning English, how I turned a simple dream into a reality. It all started with a dream. I always wanted to travel the world, meet new people, and explore new opportunities. But every time I thought about it, one thing stood in my way: English. I knew that to communicate and achieve my goals, I needed to learn this language. It wasn't just a dream, it became my mission. At first, I was very excited. I imagined myself speaking fluently, watching movies without subtitles, and even making friends from other countries. The idea felt magical. But soon, I realized that learning English wasn't as easy as I thought. I struggled a lot. Words were hard to remember, grammar was confusing, and when I tried to speak, I felt nervous. I made mistakes, and sometimes I felt like giving up. I thought, maybe I'm not good at this. Maybe this dream is too big for me. But then, I reminded myself why I started. I thought about my dream of traveling, making new friends, and building a better future. I told myself, if I don't try now, I'll regret it later. So I kept going. I started watching English videos, reading simple stories, and practicing every day. At first, I only understood a little, but I didn't stop. I made flashcards for new words, listened to English songs, and even talked to myself in English. Slowly, I began to improve. One day, I had a small conversation with a tourist in my city, and they understood me. That moment gave me so much confidence. I thought, wow, I can do this. Now I can proudly say that I've turned my dream into reality. I've traveled to new places, made friends from different countries, and even got a job where English is important. Learning English has opened so many doors for me, and it can do the same for you. If you're learning English, don't give up. Remember, every mistake is a step forward, and every word you learn brings you closer to your dreams. If I can do it, you can too. So, start today, and one day you'll look back and say, I did it. When I was younger, I had a big dream. I wanted to travel the world, meet people from different countries, and experience new cultures. I imagined myself walking through the streets of London, enjoying the vibrant city life of New York, and sitting in a cozy cafe in Paris. I wanted to speak to people from different backgrounds, learn about their lives, and share my own stories. But there was one problem: English. Everywhere I looked, English seemed to be the key. Most signs, menus, and even people spoke English. I realized that if I wanted to explore the world and connect with others, I needed to learn this language. It wasn't just about traveling. I dreamed of getting a better job, watching Hollywood movies without subtitles, and reading books that were only available in English. The more I thought about it, the more excited I became. Learning English felt like unlocking a secret door to endless opportunities. I pictured myself confidently speaking English, writing emails to international colleagues, and understanding songs I loved. I imagined the pride I would feel when I introduced myself in English, and people listened to me with respect. At that time, I didn't know much about English. I only knew a few words like hello, thank you, and goodbye. But the idea of learning it filled me with energy. I thought, if I can speak English, I can go anywhere and do anything. This thought gave me hope and motivation. Every time I saw someone speaking English fluently, I admired them. I thought they were so smart and confident. I wanted to be like them. I wanted to feel that confidence and freedom that came with knowing English. I also had personal reasons. My dream job required English skills. I wanted to work for a global company, attend international conferences, and share my ideas with people around the world. Without English, these dreams felt out of reach. And then there were the small things that made me want to learn English. I wanted to understand the lyrics of my favorite songs, follow recipes in English, and even chat with friends online who spoke the language. English wasn't just a tool for big dreams, it was something that could make my everyday life richer and more exciting. At the start of my journey, I felt a mix of excitement and fear. I was excited because I knew learning English could change my life. I was afraid because I didn't know where to begin or how long it would take. But deep inside, my dream was stronger than my fear. I told myself, this is my chance. If I work hard and stay focused, I can make this dream come true. And with that thought, I took my first step on the journey to learn English. When I started learning English, I felt excited and full of hope. But soon, I realized it wasn't going to be easy. The journey was much harder than I had imagined. Every step I took seemed to come with its own set of challenges, and I often wondered if I would ever reach my goal. One of the biggest struggles was understanding grammar. English grammar was so different from my native language. Words like is, are, was, and were confused me. Why did they change? And what was the difference between I go and I am going? It felt like there were 1,000 rules, and every time I thought I understood one, I discovered another exception. I remember spending hours trying to understand basic grammar. I watched videos, read books, and did exercises, but sometimes it felt like my brain just wouldn't cooperate. I would get frustrated and think, why is this so difficult? Why can't I just understand it? Speaking confidently was another major challenge. Whenever I tried to say something in English, I felt so nervous. My mind would go blank, and I couldn't find the right words. Sometimes, I would mix up sentences or pronounce words incorrectly, and people would look at me with confusion. Those moments made me feel embarrassed. There was one time when I tried to order food in a small cafe. I practiced the sentence in my head over and over, but when I spoke, the waiter didn't understand me. I repeated myself, but I still got it wrong. I felt so small and defeated. I left the cafe thinking, maybe I'm not good enough to learn English. Finding the right resources was also a struggle. At first, I didn't know where to start. There were so many books, apps, and videos, but I didn't know which ones were good for beginners like me. Some books were too advanced, and some lessons were too basic. I often felt lost, not knowing what to focus on. On top of that, I didn't have anyone to practice with. In my town, not many people spoke English, so I had no one to correct my mistakes or help me improve. I tried speaking to myself in the mirror, but it didn't feel the same. Without real practice, I doubted whether I could ever speak fluently. There were days when I felt completely overwhelmed. I questioned whether I had made the right decision to learn English. Why am I even doing this? I asked myself. Is it worth all this effort? Sometimes the progress felt so slow that I wondered if I was moving forward at all. The emotions were intense. There were moments of sadness when I felt I wasn't good enough, moments of frustration when I couldn't understand a lesson, and moments of doubt when I thought about giving up. But what hurt the most was the fear of failing, not just failing myself, but failing the dream I had held on to for so long. Despite all this, something deep inside me refused to let go. I reminded myself of my dreams, traveling, working internationally, and connecting with people. I told myself, every struggle is part of the process. If I keep going, I'll get better. It wasn't easy, and I made a lot of mistakes along the way, but every challenge taught me something new. Even when I felt like I was at my lowest, I reminded myself that every word I learned and every sentence I practiced was bringing me one step closer to my dream. After struggling with so many challenges, I realized something important. I couldn't give up. If I truly wanted to make my dream come true, I had to find new ways to learn English. I needed solutions, not excuses. That realization changed everything. The first thing I did was look for resources that could help me. I started with the internet, which turned out to be a goldmine. I discovered free online courses that taught English step by step. Some were very simple, perfect for a beginner like me. I found apps that helped me learn vocabulary, practice grammar, and even improve my pronunciation. My favorite app had small games to test my skills, and it made learning feel fun instead of stressful. Watching English videos became a daily habit. I started with short clips for beginners, where people spoke slowly and used simple words. At first, I could only understand a few sentences, but I kept going. Over time, I recognized more words and phrases. It felt like a puzzle where every new word was another piece that fit perfectly. I also discovered podcasts designed for English learners. They were amazing because I could listen while doing other things, like walking or cleaning. Listening to English every day helped me get used to how it sounded. Even when I didn't understand everything, I could hear the rhythm and tone of the language. Books became another tool. I started reading children's books because they used easy words and sentences. At first, I had to look up many words in the dictionary, but as I read more, I noticed I needed the dictionary less and less. One day, I finished an entire book without stopping to translate every word, and that felt like a huge victory. Writing was another area where I made progress. I bought a small notebook and started keeping a journal in English. At first, I wrote very simple sentences like, "Today is sunny, I feel happy." But as I practiced, my sentences became longer and more detailed. Writing helped me remember new words and understand how to use them in real life. Speaking was still a big challenge, but I found creative ways to practice. I started talking to myself in English, describing what I was doing or what I was thinking. It felt strange at first, but it helped me become more comfortable with forming sentences. Then I discovered online language exchange platforms. These were amazing because I could talk to native speakers who wanted to learn my language too. We helped each other. They corrected my mistakes kindly, and I learned so much from our conversations. The first time I had a 5-minute conversation in English without freezing, I felt so proud. It was a small win, but it gave me the confidence to keep going. I also joined a local English class. It was great because I met other people who were learning, just like me. We practiced speaking together, played language games, and supported each other. Knowing I wasn't alone in this journey made a big difference. Music became another teacher. I started listening to English songs and reading the lyrics. Singing along was both fun and educational. It helped me learn pronunciation and new expressions. I still remember the first time I sang an entire song without looking at the lyrics. It felt like a concert for my confidence. Every small success felt like a big step forward. The first time I introduced myself in English without hesitation, I smiled for hours. The first time I understood a whole conversation on a podcast, I couldn't believe it. These little victories kept me motivated and made the process exciting. I learned to celebrate every achievement, no matter how small. Whether it was remembering a new word, writing a correct sentence, or simply understanding a line from a movie, I saw it as progress. Step by step, I felt myself getting closer to my dream. Looking back, I realized that the key was consistency and creativity. I didn't stick to just one method. I tried everything I could, and I never stopped looking for new ways to learn. Each solution brought me closer to fluency, and with each win, my dream of speaking English confidently felt more real. As I continued learning English, there were still moments of doubt and frustration, but something had changed. I wasn't just dreaming anymore. I was working hard and finding ways to overcome the obstacles in my path. And slowly, I started to see progress. The turning point came one day when I was at a community event in my town. There was a group of tourists visiting, and they didn't speak my native language. I could see they were struggling to ask for directions. At first, I hesitated. My heart was racing, and my mind was filled with doubt. What if I make a mistake? What if they don't understand me? But then, I remembered why I started learning English in the first place. This was my chance to use everything I had learned. I took a deep breath, walked up to them, and said, "Can I help you?" Their faces lit up with relief, and they began explaining where they wanted to go. Their English was fast, and I didn't catch every word, but I understood enough. I pointed them in the right direction, using simple sentences and gestures. When they thanked me and walked away, I felt an incredible sense of pride. For the first time, I had helped someone using English. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. That moment gave me a boost of confidence. I started looking for more opportunities to use English in real-life situations. At my local market, I tried speaking to foreign visitors. When I went online, I joined English-speaking forums and participated in discussions. Each time I communicated successfully, I felt stronger and more capable. One of the most significant events happened a few months later. I decided to take an English proficiency test. It wasn't required, but I wanted to challenge myself and see how much I had improved. Preparing for the test was intense. I studied every day, practicing grammar, writing essays, and listening to English conversations. On the day of the test, I felt nervous, but ready. The test included reading, writing, listening, and speaking. The speaking part scared me the most because I had to answer questions in front of an examiner. When it was my turn, I felt my hands shaking. But as I started speaking, I realized something amazing. I could do it. The words flowed, and I understood the examiner's questions. A few weeks later, I received my results. I had passed. It wasn't a perfect score, but it showed me that all my hard work was paying off. I cried tears of joy when I saw my results. That piece of paper was more than just a certificate. It was proof that I was capable of achieving my dream. Another big milestone came when I had a video call with a friend I had met through an online language exchange program. We talked for nearly an hour, all in English. I shared stories about my life, asked about theirs, and even cracked a few jokes. At the end of the call, my friend said, "Your English has really improved." Hearing those words made me feel unstoppable. I also started watching full movies in English without subtitles. The first time I understood an entire movie, I felt like I had conquered a mountain. I could laugh at the jokes, follow the story, and even notice cultural details that I had missed before. Through these experiences, I learned an important lesson. Mistakes are part of the process. There were still times when I mispronounced words or forgot grammar rules, but I didn't let that stop me anymore. Instead of feeling embarrassed, I used my mistakes as learning opportunities. Overcoming obstacles wasn't just about learning English. It was about changing my mindset. I stopped being afraid of failure and started focusing on progress. Each obstacle I overcame made me more resilient, more determined, and more confident. Looking back, I realized how far I had come. I went from being a nervous beginner who struggled to form a sentence to someone who could hold a conversation, understand a movie, and pass an English test. It wasn't easy, but every step was worth it. After months of dedication, struggle, and small victories, I could finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. Learning English wasn't just about memorizing words or practicing sentences anymore. It had become a part of my daily life, my identity, and my path to achieving my dream. My dream had always been to work in a company where English was essential. I wanted to communicate with people from different countries, share ideas, and grow in my career. But for so long, that dream felt far away, like a mountain I couldn't climb. Now, I was standing at the base of that mountain, ready to reach the top. One day, I saw a job posting for an international company. They were looking for someone who could speak both English and my native language. It was a perfect opportunity, but the requirements scared me. They wanted someone confident in English communication, someone who could handle meetings, emails, and phone calls in English. For a moment, I doubted myself. Was I really ready for this? But then I thought about everything I had accomplished, helping tourists, passing my English test, having full conversations in English. I realized that I was ready. It was time to turn my dream into reality. I applied for the job and prepared for the interview with all my heart. I practiced answering common interview questions in English. I recorded myself speaking and listened for ways to improve. I even asked a friend from my language exchange group to do mock interviews with me. The day of the interview arrived. As I sat in front of the interviewer on a video call, I felt nervous but prepared. The questions came, and to my surprise, I could answer them confidently. I talked about my skills, my experiences, and my passion for learning. When they asked why I wanted the job, I said, "I've worked hard to learn English because I believe it's the key to connecting with the world. This job is the perfect opportunity to use everything I've learned." A few days later, I received an email. I had gotten the job. I couldn't believe it. My dream was no longer just a dream. It was my reality. I was so proud of myself for taking that chance and working so hard to make it happen. The job was everything I had hoped for. I worked with people from all over the world, using English every day. At first, it was challenging. Writing professional emails, participating in meetings, and speaking up in group discussions felt intimidating. But with each passing day, I grew more comfortable. My colleagues were supportive, and they appreciated my efforts to communicate clearly. Beyond work, learning English opened so many doors in my personal life. I could travel to new countries and communicate with locals without fear. On one trip, I visited a beautiful city where no one spoke my native language. Using English, I asked for directions, ordered food, and even made new friends. It was an incredible feeling to connect with people from a different culture. I also joined international online communities where people shared their hobbies and interests. One of my favorite groups was about photography. I met people from different continents, and we shared tips and ideas in English. It felt amazing to be part of a global conversation. But the most rewarding part of achieving my dream was the pride I felt. I had started this journey full of fear and doubt, unsure if I could succeed. Now, I was living proof that hard work, patience, and determination could make anything possible. One day, a young student from my hometown reached out to me. They had heard about my journey and wanted advice on learning English. I told them, start small, stay consistent, and never give up. If I can do it, so can you. It felt incredible to inspire someone else, just as others had inspired me along the way. Looking back, I realized that learning English wasn't just about reaching a goal. It was about growing as a person. It taught me resilience, creativity, and the importance of believing in myself. My dream had come true, and it felt even better than I had imagined. As I look back on my English learning journey, it's hard to believe how far I've come. From the moment I decided to start learning, everything changed. My mindset, my confidence, and the way I saw the world. Through all the struggles, the victories, and the countless moments of doubt, I learned lessons that shaped not only my language skills, but also my approach to life. One of the first lessons I learned was the importance of persistence. In the beginning, everything felt overwhelming. Grammar rules were confusing, and there were so many new words to remember. It often felt like I wasn't making any progress at all. But looking back, I can see how each day of practice built a stronger foundation. The key was not giving up, even when I felt discouraged. Every time I made a mistake, I learned something new. Each time I stumbled over a word, I got closer to mastering it. Patience was another crucial lesson. Learning English wasn't something that could be rushed. It took time, and I had to accept that progress would be slow at first. I had to trust the process and understand that every step, no matter how small, was part of my journey. It was easy to get frustrated, especially when I felt like I wasn't improving fast enough. But patience taught me that success comes little by little. Small victories, like learning new words, watching a movie without subtitles, or understanding a conversation, all added up over time. One of the biggest breakthroughs in my journey was the realization that mistakes are part of the process. At first, I was terrified of making mistakes, thinking they would make me look foolish or incapable. But over time, I learned that mistakes were not something to be feared. They were opportunities to grow. Every mistake I made was a lesson that brought me closer to fluency. When I mispronounced a word or got the grammar wrong, I didn't let it stop me. Instead, I corrected myself and moved forward. This shift in mindset helped me build the confidence I needed to continue learning. Another powerful lesson I learned was the value of consistency. The more I practiced, the better I got. I didn't need to spend hours a day, but I did need to make learning English a part of my daily routine. Whether it was listening to an English podcast while cooking, reading a book in English before bed, or practicing speaking with a friend, the key was consistency. Even when life got busy, I made it a priority to spend a little time each day working on my English skills. This steady, consistent effort made a huge difference in my progress. Learning English also taught me the importance of embracing new opportunities. The moment I started using English in real-life situations, everything changed. Helping tourists, having conversations online, and traveling to English-speaking countries were not just opportunities to practice. Each one was a chance to connect with others and step out of my comfort zone. I learned that learning a language is not just about theory or grammar. It's about engaging with the world. The more I used English in everyday situations, the more comfortable and confident I became. I also learned that self-belief was crucial to my success. There were times when I felt like my dream was too far away, or that I wasn't good enough to achieve it. But every time I pushed through that doubt, I gained more confidence in my abilities. I had to believe in myself, even when I made mistakes, and trust that with hard work, I could improve. This belief in myself helped me take risks, whether it was speaking in front of people or applying for jobs in English. Looking back, I see that learning English wasn't just about acquiring a skill, it was about transforming myself. I didn't just learn a new language, I learned to be resilient, patient, and persistent. I learned to face challenges head-on and to keep going, even when things felt tough. Most importantly, I learned that dreams are achievable, no matter how big or small they may seem. To anyone who is watching this story and wondering if they can do it, my answer is yes. You absolutely can. I started just like you, with doubts, fears, and no clear path. But through hard work, dedication, and the willingness to push through the tough moments, I achieved something that I once thought was impossible. If you are thinking about learning English or any other skill, take that first step. Set a small goal and work towards it every day.